Aloha again, everybody. The Poetry Arcade, of course, at some point must lead to the kitchen, which is where you find me today. Um, I kind of wanted to deliver this, final, grand, sweeping message about everything, and it may not happen in one bit here, so maybe a aloha continued. Um, Basically, some final, thoughts on our moment and the final things you need to do to wrap up this class. Thing one is my dear friend Amber has been watching all of these videos I've been making while painting her nails in Cutoff, Louisiana at her boyfriend's house. So my first bit of advice during this situation we're in is, don't get it and fall in love. If you can do those two things, you're winning. I think at the beginning of this, I was telling you guys I lost my godmother and I'm going to her funeral on Saturday. So, once again, absolutely not losing sight of anything. Just trying to find some rays of light in this moment. Now, if there's one thing I could give anybody that moved to New Orleans in the last, decade or so, or a little more than that really, would be the time machine for them to be able to go to the mother-in-law lounge where you saw the movie where Ernie K-Doe used to play and that his wife Antoinette used to run. It truly was like one of the most amazing places. And, the worst time I ever had there was a very good time. That was the worst time I ever had there. And then from there, it just went into stratospheric levels of mind blowing. But Ernie K-Doe, as you could see from the movie, the teachings of, was famous for all these sayings, right? And these crazy bits of language. He was a DJ on TUL for a while, as well as his normal thing. And he would just say all these things. His famous thing is he would just say, "Burn, K-Doe, burn." And he would just get himself revved up. But one thing he was famous for saying was, "I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that all music came from New Orleans." And of course, we know technically that all music didn't come from New Orleans, so technically, but at the same time, he's also kind of right. Or certainly, in a way, almost all American music, if not comes from New Orleans, this was one of its most important portals. They only credit, if you remember, we started this whole thing by looking at the muses, and you had all the muses that went with the different art forms: dance, love, poetry, right? All these art forms had been invented thousands of years ago. America, as in United States of, is only really credited with two art forms, and that those are the cartoon and jazz. And of course, we know that jazz came from this place. It used to be Bobancha, renamed by the French and the Spanish, and then eventually we just call it New Orleans. This historical moment we're in, so much is about the residue and fallout of the grand tragedy of the European colonization of the New World. One of the few, nice things of that whole, grand epoch is jazz. Happened here in New Orleans, and it basically was a hybridization, simplified things. European instruments and harmonies combined with African drumming. and those two things put together, the world had never seen anything like that, right? If you listen to Austrian chamber music, it's cool, but without that drumming, it's just, it's not jazz. Okay, so in the spirit of trying to find some rays of light in these times, you guys are looking at your final stuff, your final paper. You're doing that three-way cross. You have to use one of the plays. Again, if you're somebody more with a demented sense of humor, then What Did Jack Do could be your thing. I'm not one of those people that laughs at anything with monkeys. Like a lot of commercials have monkeys. I'm like, whatever. But something about that monkey is just hilarious to me. But, And then, of course, Tom Dent's Ritual Murder, amazingly written in 1977. That is just obviously so with the moment. And of course, you have also to choose from the other two. First two I mentioned are the easiest, I suppose. I mean, most accessible in terms of length. So you got one of the plays, you got poets from our recent units. We're not going all the way back to Emily. We all love Emily Dickinson. I do, you do, we all do. But we've done that, and you need to use some of the material from the recent units, right? We started this whole thing with the art of losing, and I will just tell you this little chestnut to kind of fill out the K-Doe situation, which also relates to our moment. I have dogs now, and it's like one of the few times a day where they're quiet. It's like this time, and then late at night is the only time it's like totally chill that I can do something like this. But once I had 3 dogs, and with those 3 dogs, I went through Katrina, which did have in the American Cane Company. But the important part for this story is, well, they were named Grover, Lou, short for Lucy, who's the girl, beagle, and the leader, and self-nominated, and then K-Doe. K-Doe, you'll be surprised to know, I did not name K-Doe. We took him on from a friend who moved to a place that couldn't have dogs, and he was already named K-Doe. The funny side note to that is my cousin Steven had a cat also named K-Doe, and one time he took it to the vet, and the vet told him, "We have so many pets named K-Doe that come into this office, we can make a calendar just of all the dogs and cats named K-Doe." So if you're ever looking for a pet name, K-Doe is pretty strong. It's also good to be able to call out. It's one, if you're mad, you can like say it with a little gusto, and you can keep the tradition alive. But the important part is for the story, so all these dogs, we go through Katrina together, we survive. But these 3 dogs were all about the same age. So another pro tip for you guys, if you're gonna have more than one dog, like have them not the exact same age, have them like 3 or 4 years apart. All these dogs are the same age, and so of course, when it comes to the end of their life, within a 6 or 8 month period, 1, 2, and 3 say goodbye to this earth. And by the time Lou died, 3 days before Christmas, at the urgent vet in Metairie on the side of the service road, I just was like, I'm getting really good at this. In other words, I'm getting good at losing a dog. But then I immediately thought, this is not something I want to get good at. So, usually with you guys, if it was a regular class, I'd be going on about how we had sky cars in New Orleans, which we did. And there were these cars that went in the air over the Mississippi River and connected the two Delgado campuses. You didn't have to drive from one to the other. You could just get in the sky cars. You may not believe me. Again, ask an elder and you'll find out that I'm telling the truth. So this may be the to be continued part, but like right now, Tipitina is one of the most famous music clubs in New Orleans because of everything that's happening with all this and all the shutdown, is on the verge of going out of business. And this is like a super important music club that has the face of Professor Longhair, who's another New Orleans piano great before James Booker that we didn't even get to, but you know the Mardi Gras song. Yeah, so I'm just going to put a pin in that right there with the idea that, you know, this overlap of music and poetry, y'all have been doing an amazing job with that so far. I've loved some of the scenarios you've come up with and combining in film, and you're just going to bring in one of the plays and just keep working the magic you've been doing on the discussion boards, just at a slightly longer length, couple outside sources, right? I trust you, and it's been fun, and I'll try to complete this final Aloha sometime soon. Oh, this here is a shadow box, if y'all didn't know what that is. That's our miniature shoebox parade. All the throws for my parade are also miniature, so they can all fit in the shadow box after the parade is done. But that's something else I can tell you about. All right, for now, aloha, you guys.